All right, it's Ron Toy with the Ron Toy team at Cross Country Mortgage. It's the Monday mortgage market update and kind of going over it, answering questions. This is really designed for home buyers, homeowners, realtors, lenders, so that we can get some stuff addressed. And so, yeah, right now the market is down 1 basis point, but we had a great rebound over the from Friday. So we're above the 200-day moving average. We're above the 50-day moving average. So rates are doing better. The thing about rates, if you look at the graphs and you can do the research yourself, rates have they always ebb and flow. So you don't really want to try to time the market based on rate. You really want to find the right home that fits your needs and budget and not overspend. Something I always like to talk about on the Monday mortgage market updates is how escrow accounts can really impact a client. And so I have another client right now that their servicer was jacking up the insurance numbers and their property tax numbers, and it's changing their payment like $1,000 a month, which is huge. And so that's why you want to make sure you have a good relationship with your loan officer so you can contact them. They can help you with this stuff. And you can also check your property taxes on the property tax website. Here in Texas, you can be like Dallas County CAD, and you can Google that and property search, and you can pull up your own property. And this is important because you want to make sure your exemptions are in place, especially here in Texas. Your homestead exemption, if it is your homestead, your primary residence, you can file your homestead exemption. That helps a ton. So you want to make sure that's filed. But your if you're on a fixed mortgage, your mortgage itself doesn't go up, but your escrow account payment can go up every year. And if there is a negative escrow, then they have to not only recoup the negative costs within 12 months, they have to make sure you're not negative the next year. So that adjusts even more. So that payment adjustment can be devastating. And I see it a lot in either people who purchase homes from someone that was elderly and had a bunch of exemptions and own the home for a long period of time. Hey, Kaylin. And then also if you're buying in a new build community, because in a new build community, a lot of times it's based on the unimproved value or just the land. And then once the property taxes are reassessed, because property taxes, especially here in Texas, are billed in arrears. So right now, it's for 2023, even though we're in 2024. And then December, we'll be paying, December of 2024, we'll be paying the updated bill, and then it goes on and on. But if you're a homeowner and you're getting these escrow account adjustment letters, feel free to, if schedule a time to meet with me in my calendar link, and then I can help look at it, or your loan officer will help you close, so we can look at it together. We'll pull up your property tax records, see if that is actually accurate, reflected on your escrow account letter, and then also your homeowner's insurance. Is this a makeup tutorial? Yes, it is a makeup tutorial. I have got plenty of it available if you see the background. So yes, 100% makeup tutorial. But in essence, you want to make sure you get that letter and send it to your loan officer, or you can. I'm happy to look at it with you as well. The makeup's going to be at the very end, so don't miss it. Okay, buddy. Just stay tuned. It's going to eventually happen at the very end of this live. Keep liking it, and just in case, if you really want to get keyed in on the makeup. But so back to the property taxes and mortgage. And so right now, a lot of people are concerned because home prices are going up and up and up, right? And I've shared before on my lives the property appreciation rate since 1942. And then also the home starts versus home completions since forever. And that's the other part that we want to see. Now, a lot of people are talking about hedge fund companies, BlackRock, big companies purchasing a lot of the inventory. And this is something that's happening right now. And with the NAR lawsuit settlement that happened a few weeks ago or last week, a lot of the agents are concerned. But that's because there's a bunch of misinformation, kind of like a couple of years ago when the media was saying there was going to be a housing market crash. And did that happen? No. Just like what's going on now, there's a lot of hyperbole and fear-based clickbait stuff going on in the media, and it's just really unfortunate. But that's a distraction tactic. The real true thing that I see a concern with there is if the buyer has to pay the buyer's agent, then that is going to slow down people who are first-time home buyers or people with limited funds from purchasing property. And who does that benefit? The investors, the big companies that have a goal by 2030 to own 30 to 40% of all residential property. It's coming and you know it. What is afraid, what is scary is that tactic. Who funded that lawsuit? Because in essence, when you look at a buyer's rep agreement, it always states that the buyer is responsible for paying the commission. But most times, because the buyer is giving the seller hundreds of thousands of dollars, the seller then takes a portion of their net profit and pays the realtor fees, right? Because it's not like the buyer's not giving the seller a bunch of money. And it's not like the sellers, in most cases, the sellers have tons of equity. Right now, we have the most amount of equity in properties we've seen in forever. And so that's the part where a lot of agents are nervous. But if you can, obviously it's value add. If you've been in the business, you invested in your craft, and you're doing this as your profession, you're going to be fine. What this also will do is constrict the market for realtors, and the ones that were doing it as kind of part-time or not really invested in it, they'll probably fall away. It is what it is. But this is something for me, as somebody who's in the business, been doing this for 10 years, what my concern is, I see big, huge hedge fund companies with intentions to buy 30 to 40% of the inventory on the market over the next 10, 15 years. And a really easy way to do that is to limit first-time home buyers from access to properties through constricting the who's paying for what. It's not going to help the homeowners that are currently trying to sell. And a lot of times, like I've bought and sold multiple properties over the last few years. And I'm telling you, the agents I work with, they're worth their commission. But that's the part that's scary. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't need an agent. Well, then you go and you do research that on average, the people that don't use an agent end up getting $100,000 less for their home than what they would have. And when you work out the commission split, your net profit is significantly less by not using an agent. It is what it is. The numbers don't lie. And that's the part that's scary. Also, I've seen multiple lawsuits, and you can go look at it, where what do you call it? Like wholesale buyers, where they'll get somebody under contract and then sell that contract to somebody else. They have gotten clients under contract. Then the seller, because they have a duty to perform, is stuck to that contract. And they've tried to pull out, and then that wholesaler can sue them, tie that property up for months, if not years, to where you can't sell that property or resell it until it's finished through litigation, and it becomes devastating. And then what most of the time happens is that seller is forced to sell it to the wholesaler, and at some kind of discounted or bad terms, and or pay tons and tons of money in litigation. So then it's not a good thing. There's a reason you want to use a professional. Interview them, find the right one that works with you. But that's the key, is relationships, right? All of this, if making sure your homestead exemption is put in place, making sure that you're not overbuying for what your goals are. If you're maxing out your budget on the initial purchase and nobody's talking to you about how that can impact you because of escrow account adjustments, almost every property is going to have some kind of escrow adjustment most years, because insurance can go up, because every January 1, your roof is 1 year older, your home is 1 year older. So then there's going to be extra costs to insure it. And property taxes can go up. Now you file your homestead exemption, and that can help limit that adjustment every year, but it can still adjust. So if you're already maxed out, it's going to be tough in the subsequent years to follow, because your payment can go up because of those two things. Your mortgage can be fixed and your interest rate can be fixed, but your escrows can adjust. And there's ways to get ahead of it, but you just have to have a plan. Shopping your insurance is something you can do every year. And sometimes you can get a serious discount on insurance by switching. Your property taxes, again, I've talked about that ad nauseum. Making sure you have the right exemptions in place, tracking that account. So that'll be good. You look like Post Malone. I don't know who that is, so cool, thank you, I'll take it. And so we got that going, and please don't follow me. That's your username. And who is Post Malone? I don't follow whatever that is. Nevertheless, I don't care. If you don't own a home right now and you're thinking renting is less expensive, I would challenge you to look at it a different way. You don't have to talk to me or use me. Talk to a local licensed loan originator. But usually there's a property you can buy that has a similar payment, so at least you're building your own equity. Because when you own, you build equity two ways: forced savings through principal balance reduction and appreciation. He is a discount Pete Davidson. I don't know who that is either, so cool. But we'll keep going on that. The problem is down payment. Well, can be a problem for most, but in most states, there's programs called down payment assistance programs, or DPA. They help with closing costs and down payment. And most of them, like here in Texas, there's TSHAC and Seth and TDHCA and a bunch of others, will give you up to 5% of the total loan amount towards your down payment closing costs, which pretty much covers your entirety of your closing costs. And if you're doing FHA, you're going 5% assistance, it 100% covers your minimum investment, plus what you put on earnest option appraisal can come back to you when you close. So that's the part where you can actually get going. How do I buy land in Gaza Strip? Oh, you're getting blocked. And I'm reporting you. What a dork. Bye. Yeah, that person blocked immediately. Confirm. Boom. Bye. Yeah, we're not playing any games about that stuff. And so, let's see. The problem with down payment, hashtag don't, I don't know what, or asterisk don't. So, nevertheless, there's ways to help you with your down payment and closing costs. Now, what you will need to get under contract is your earnest, option, and appraisal, which you can get back at closing if you're using one of these down payment and closing cost assistance programs. Earnest money is typically 1% of the sales price. Your option money is typically like $100, and appraisal typically between $500 and $700. That can be a lot, but if you have a game plan, there's ways to save, there's ways to sell things, and make sure you properly document that. But the rest of it can be covered through down payment, closing cost assistance, seller credits, things like that. Hopefully you find that helpful. If you'd like to see what some numbers look like, feel free to shoot me a DM, or, well, actually my DMs are on lockdown because I confronted some scammer and it won't let me send DMs. You can click the link in my bio and it'll take you to my website to schedule an appointment. And so that was kind of helpful. Yeah, down payment and closing cost assistance. What state do you live in? You can also just Google whatever state you live in and say down payment assistance, DPA program, whatever state you're in. And it'll pull up a bunch of different options. And that's where you can really dive in and get the behind the scenes information on not only the program, but also the good lenders that work with it. Now, depending on the way it's structured, like here, Seth and TSHAC are my favorites. There's other ones that are great, but they have two options: either grant most of the time, and which means the funds never have to be repaid. But if it's the bond, which is usually based on a 3-year forgivable second lien. And so what that means, if you stay in the home for 3 years, you don't sell or refi, the funds are totally forgiven. But if you refinance or sell within those 3 years, it has to be paid back. So that's why you want to make sure you talk to somebody who's done the programs, and also do your own research so you can see. Some of them, like TDHCA, the second lien is on the property for the life of the loan. So that's why you really want to make sure you're getting the right structure based on your current and long-term goals. Statistically, first-time homebuyers are in their home 3 to 6 years. So if it's not your forever home, I would look at a program that's going to allow for the total forgiveness within 3 to 6 years. The 3-year or the grant, versus something that's tied to the property for the entirety of the loan. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions and direct you to it. And again, on my page, it's meant to educate and empower people to make a buying decision. If you want to use me, great, but mostly talk to somebody in your area, talk to your local licensed residential mortgage loan officer, local licensed realtor, so that you're getting impactful, actionable information and building a relationship, because that's the key. When you build the relationship, then you can call and text and have that person that's going to help you build that long-term plan that you have. If you want to own multiple doors, if you want to, just make sure you're building property and equity to springboard for retirement, pay off debt. There's a lot of different strategies. But yeah, look at down payment and closing cost assistance programs. It can be amazing. Like I have a client right now that closes on the 5th, and they bought a $320,000 house. They're getting a check back at closing for $3,015, which is their earnest option money. That's huge. So they're getting a $320,000 house. They're getting the money they put back in. They put an earnest option appraisal back at closing. That's pretty sweet. And what's really great about this is, through appreciation, The appreciation gains are based on the total value of the house. So it's 320,000. If that home goes up, 5% next year, that's like $17,000 in value. That's huge. And to think that they got their money back at closing and they made 17 grand, but that doesn't even count principal balance reduction. That's why homeownership is so important. And maybe you can't afford a 320,000. Maybe you can afford a $70,000 condo or a house or whatever. Doesn't matter. Buy what you can easily afford with room in your budget in case there's escrow adjustments the next year, and build your own equity instead of someone else. Because if you're renting, you are paying a mortgage, and those are at 100% interest. So pay yourself. And the interest is tax deductible, and so is the property taxes. So there's tax liabilities that help. Nevertheless, hopefully you find this helpful. In essence, market, now we're up 2 basis points. So that means the rates are even lower. It's going to be an interesting week, very busy week. Tomorrow, tons of stuff, durable goods, house price index for FHFA. On Wednesday, the 7-year Treasury is going to do their thing. Thursday, of course, jobless claims, initial jobless claims, a bunch of stuff on Thursday. And then Friday, the bond market is closed, or Thursday, it's closing at 1, and it's closed on Friday. But PCE is supposed to come out, which it'll come out, but the bond market is closed half a day Thursday into Friday because it's Good Friday. But PCE is coming out. It's personal consumption expenditures. That's a huge measure of inflation, and we want to make sure we're tracking PCE. Super important. Have any questions? Let me know. Here to help. But thank you for being a part of my live today.